Hi folks. So a few people have suggested that some of the how-tos on Hammerhead site aren't great or maybe don't go into enough detail. So I'm going to try to run through quickly a video about routes and how to use them and how to, I guess, make them. Um, so this is the Karoo dashboard, I guess you'd call it, or whatever they're calling it, but it's at app.hammerhead.io. I'm assuming the /me is because I'm logged in. And then it's fairly simplistic here. These are things that have already been imported, and it shows where they've been imported from. So in this case, this one was Strava. This one was, I believe, Map My Ride. It might be Ride with GPS, but I think it's Map My Ride. I'm not familiar with that logo because I don't really use it very much. And then these two are routes that I've actually planned um, in this tool. So if you're going to import a ride, you go to import, obviously, and it gives you a list right here, all these, of where you can import from. And I think there's actually some more. I think basically if it's a well-formed GPX file, well, yeah, it says right here. So you can do it by GPX file. So if you have a valid GPX file, you can do that. If you have a URL, you can just paste the URL in here. And I've already done that. This would be the Strava URL or the Ride with GPS URL for the route. And this does work. I know people have had problems with it. I have not. I have actually only followed one of my routes, but but this does work. Activities are here. These are previous things I've done. You can see these sort of match up with some of the previous videos that I've done. This lap test was a thing I did on Thursday, just running around or walking around in my backyard to make sure the lap button wasn't breaking things. So this is, and then a few other people have asked, how do you get your fit files from the Karoo, because you can't really plug it into the computer without doing some things that may or may not affect your warranty. This little cloud button here with is the download fit file button. So if you want a fit file, if it's not uploading to some service that you already prefer other than Strava, then you can download the fit file and upload it to another service. But let's quickly, I'm trying to keep these short, so let's quickly go into this plan route button. So what I'm hoping to do is plan a route right now, go ride the route. I'm actually going to intentionally not put a leg of the route in because I want to see what happens when it tries to reroute me and how aggressive it gets about rerouting me. So I'm not going to put my direct address in here, but you can probably figure this out close enough if you really wanted to. But I'm going to put like basically a little parking lot down the street. And the reason I'm doing this is because one of the other features of the Karoo that's pretty nice is that you can put a route in that doesn't necessarily have to start within your, basically from your driveway. I think they said there was a 10-mile radius. It may depend on how large a map section you've downloaded, but it was either 5 or 10 miles around you. And I've tried this, not yet on video, but I will when I go outside, that you can basically have a route that starts several miles from your house, and it will route you to the start of the route, and then you can ride the route. So I'm going to do that. This spot is about a mile away from my house. We're going to go, I don't know what this little gray line is, whether it knows that I have been on this route before, but this is this is a route that I ride fairly regularly. It just avoids it avoids some roads. Sorry, I'm a little distracted while I try to make sure I'm taking the road that I want to take. We're going to go this way. We're going to go this way. We're going to head down towards the beach here. I'm hoping to take a picture. Oops. I'm going to take a picture over here. I'm going to cut up this way. It doesn't seem to be giving me a mileage. I thought it did that, but it's not doing it right now. So that's all right, I guess. Let's see what happens here. Yep, that's correct. I'm going to go here. I'm going to cross a major road at a set of lights here. Oops, didn't like that click. And then I think I'm just going to head home this way. Big hill right here. Big for us. And then what I'm going to do is put sort of an odd out and back here. And I'm not going to end the ride directly at my house, but it's close enough. I'm actually going to ride this road here and back this way, and because I want to see what happens when I basically get off course. So, oh, it does say down here. I'm sorry, it does say the mileage down here. I think you can read that. 18.4 miles. And then over here, there's save route. I'm going to call this route test. Route. We say it both ways around here. And then basically once you're done, I think you can just hit this. Right, so here's that route appearing in here. You can do things like edit it, download it, but what's supposed to happen, and I'll verify this when I get on bike. I'm gonna basically dress right now, go outside, record the Karoo, and whether this appears or not, I guess. It should.
Okay, so back outside, folks, I did a few prep steps, basically. So the route, once you've put that route into the Hammerhead dashboard, whether you import a GPX file or whether you import from another place or whether you plan one right there, it should appear in here. So you go to routes. It did not appear instantaneously, but if you pull this, if you drag down, you can see that, hopefully you can see that little kind of refresh logo that popped up. Once I did that, it's here. So here's the route test that we just planned. Again, the start is not here. You want to hit this make available offline toggle, and even if you don't have the local map downloaded to the Karoo, it should actually download at least the part of the map that it needs to basically allow you to follow that route. That's my understanding. So we're gonna, I'm not sure all the sensors are woken up. I'm gonna double check. Location is on. I just turned it off. I turned it back on again. So we're gonna start this ride this time. So you start the ride as normal, and then instead of just hitting start, you choose this add route button. It's not really, it should be named, probably should be named select route, but you can actually create a route on the device. I'm probably not gonna do that because I don't really know how best to record myself doing that in a way that's not gonna have my hands all over the screen. So here's our route test. Whoops, didn't touch it. There we go. So now it's giving you the profile that you're using, the route that you're going to follow, and I'm going to hit start on the Garmin. So the power sensor did wake up. That's good. The Garmin sees it. That's another indication that I would really like to see on the Karoo, is an indication that, hey, I connected to your power meter, hey, I connected to your heart rate sensor. There's no real feedback until you start the ride, whether any of these things are being seen yet. So we should be following a route at this point, and it's supposed to, okay, it did. So this is the fix, one of the fixes that they put in place, which is that it's supposed to give you turn-by-turn directions on all of the screens, not just the map screen. And this started this way correctly the first ride I did when I tried to follow a route, and then it stopped after a few miles. I think it stopped basically as soon as the next turn signal came up, or turn indication. So that's basically it. And the other point to make about this ride, as I think I showed when I was planning it, is that this ride does not start from my driveway. This does not start from my current location. The actual start point for the ride is probably close to a mile away. So it is routing me to the start, and then I'm hoping it's just going to be seamless when I get on the route. I'm also interested to see, like I said earlier, what happens when I intentionally get off route. But I'm going to put the gloves on, hit the stop button on the GoPro, and we're going to head out. Hi folks, mid-ride, it's actually fairly quiet right here right now, so I'm hoping this works out. But here's an example of what needs improvement. So it says 1 mile and it says left turn, Parker Road. Well, this is where I think they could use some color cues or something else to make this clear. So first off, before I get negative, routing is working. And routing to, or what it did for me today, and routing to the start point of the ride also worked. So it gave me directions out of my neighborhood, even though I knew the way. Gave me directions out of my neighborhood to the start point, and then seamlessly started routing the route that you saw me plan earlier. So, you know, that's good. But this is silly, because I'm on Parker Road right now. So that turn I'm going to make is onto Seaview Ave. So this is confusing. If you know, I know where I'm going. These are my regular roads. So I know what this means, but somebody, if I had given my bike to someone and said, hey, go follow the Karoo and go for a ride, they would be terribly confused, because when they get to this point, the turn is Seaview Ave. It's not Parker Road. So I think just like a color cue here might work, where it was green or some other color to indicate the road that you're on. There's a car coming, hang on. If it was green when you were on that road, so this will change at about a half a mile, this will change, and it probably will say Seaview Ave left. But while you're on this road, it's confusing, because if you knew you were on Parker Road and now it's telling you to take a left onto what looks like Parker Road, it's confusing. So that's just a quick in-ride update. So routing is working. It's hard to see. I'm sure you can't see it at all. The GPS track, again, this is what happened yesterday. It looked like it was working. So it's very hard to see because of the color differences, but there is a gray line behind that red arrow that shows where I've went or where I've been. And for a little while, it was offset from the road a little bit. I don't know if it lost a couple of GPS signals, so it was definitely showing, and I could see it on the map that it was recording, or it appeared to be recording. This is what it did yesterday. It looked like it recorded, and then it didn't. But I could see the track behind me. They're working on making that arrow smaller. That's a known issue. They're working on perhaps changing this so that the rider position is lower on the screen. You can see more of the road. I have this fairly deeply zoomed in, mostly because I don't need the directions and I was more interested in the accuracy of the track. Also of note is that the location symbol in the menu bar or taskbar, whatever that's called in Android, is there. I don't remember if it was there yesterday, but it's there now. I don't know if that only shows up when you're routing or when it actually has GPS signal, but we're going to continue on here, and if anything else interesting happens, I will pause and record a little bit. Hi folks, another mid-ride update here. So, interestingly, I guess it is to me, I have confused the Karoo a bit, and I'm going to see if it recovers, but the gray line, you can now see the gray line over this green area, so this is a beach parking lot, and it's not officially a road. So I'm assuming the gray line means that it's recorded a track. I'm out by the water, I just took a couple of pictures, and now I'm headed back. So I'm headed back to my predetermined course or route, but I don't know if it's going to pick up because it's been saying rerouting now for a while. Now I don't have a SIM card and I'm not in range of Wi-Fi, so I'm not sure what it's going to do here, but just providing that update, and this may or may not work when I get back on my route, but I guess we'll find out. Alright, another quick update folks. I'm going to give credit where credit is due, since I seem to be on the negative side sometimes. So I started traversing back across the parking lot. You can see the green area behind me. That's what's left of this beach park essentially, or most of what's left of it, and it has picked back up again. So it's giving me a turn direction, which is a little weird. Some of these arrows aren't perfect. This is really a hard right turn, a 90-degree turn, and it's sort of telling me to bear right, but that is the correct road name, and it's coming up, and this is where I would like to see improvement, and I've mentioned this before. This 0.1 miles is it never goes below that, or it goes below that when it gets below 0.05 miles. It goes to 0 miles. It would be great if that could change to feet or meters or something a little more meaningful to indicate specifically which road it's talking about, especially if there's two in sequence. But kudos to the device for being able to pick up off of the route. Okay, so here's another mid-ride update just to show, and it's not a knock. Well, I guess it is a little bit, but I'm pointing out improvements. So I don't know how well you can see. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit or hold the GoPro closer. But I think you can probably see the notification here that the Karoo is trying to report. It looks like it's telling me to go 3/4 of the way around this roundabout ahead of me. If you look at the map, it's a little confusing because I'm sort of backtracking on myself. But really all I'm doing is going into the rotary or the roundabout and taking an immediate right. So the arrow, and this is a common problem where it shows bare right when it's really a hard right, or hard left when it's really just a slight left-hand turn. So I'm not sure if it's the mapping software or the way the routing is calculating it, but it's off a little bit. So it's just another example, and it's more just a thing to watch out for. If you're in an unfamiliar place and you're using this as your exclusive routing device, and you're not maybe carrying a phone as a backup or something else, just be aware that the icons don't always represent exactly what kind of turn you're going to be making. So pay attention to the road, pay attention to the street signs, maybe pay attention to the map. The other thing to note while I'm here and remembering it is that I showed at the beginning of the ride that the directional or the turn signal pop-up was coming up on this screen. It came up that one time and it never came up again. So clearly there's a little more work there. I thought they had that corrected, or they had reported that they had that corrected, but it's not corrected, at least for me. Busy road here, folks. I apologize for the traffic noise, but this seemed like the best place to stop. Hopefully this is the last clip, but I wanted to again give credit where credit is due. So that problem earlier with where it just said rerouting down in the lower third, that was clearly due to the fact that I was not actually on a road. I was in that parking lot. So I intentionally misrouted myself on the way home. And to the Karoo's credit, it's very quick in rerouting. So I'm assuming this is because I have the local map downloaded. But when I would make wrong turns, it would very briefly say rerouting down in this lower section, and immediately pick the next road or the next turn it felt like I should take to get back on course. So I'm almost done with the ride. I hope that this is actually the last clip of this video. I'm actually trying to record 2 videos at once. So there'll also be a ride number 5 video where I'll kind of dig into the stats again and the comparison between the Karoo and the Garmin. On a brief look recently, it did look like the mileage was off again. Not in a huge way, but more than I would like to see, I guess. And I'm not sure which one is accurate. Oh, big truck coming. So, I guess we'll find out. You can also of note here before I forget is that when you're off course, the line in front of you becomes blue instead of red, and it's not super clear that it's blue. It could be either brighter or thicker or maybe dotted or some other indication. So the routing is generally good. They could do some visual things, especially where there's no beeper, no audible signal about these things. Oh, so many cars. They could do a better visual job of letting you know that there's issues on where you are. But hopefully this is the last video. I'll pan up briefly and give you a view of the salt marsh here. Not the greatest of spots to stop, obviously, with all the road noise. Hopefully you could hear that. I guess I'll find out when I get home, but hopefully this is the last clip of this routing video, and then if you want to, check the Ride 5 video for more details. Thanks for watching.